Hi, and welcome to Furious Fiction. I'm Mark Mustian. Today we have with us Joan Silber. She's the author of Fools. It was on the long list for the National Book Award. It's a wonderful, wonderful book that's kind of a series of linked stories. So Joan, welcome. Glad you're with us.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I wanted to ask you about the title. Did you come up with the title of Fools first, or did that come later in the process? Tell us how that worked.
The title came up as I was writing the first story. I understood that because it was about anarchists in the 20s, that they were often thought of as fools, although I think they're not,
Right.
and that it's very common for people to be thought of as fools for Christ, fools for love, fools for big ideas. So I liked that as a title for that story, and I stuck with it.
I just thought it worked so well, and it's interesting that to hear you say that, because did you write the stories kind of chronologically? Like, did you write the first story first and then later stories later as you did it?
I wrote the first two first, and then I wrote the others in different order.
Okay. This is an unfair question to ask. I hate to even mention it, but in terms of having the different stories, I mean, some, as a reader, they appealed to you the most. I mean, all of them are great, but did you have a favorite among the stories that make up the book?
My two favorites, I think, are, I like the last story, Buying and Selling,
right,
where Joan, whom we've met before, comes in again. And I love doing that. A character you've forgotten about kind of reappears.
Right.
And she's different when we see her all these years later. And then I like the story, whose title I'm going to have to grab for now, but it has Marcus, this young guy who's pining for his lover. At the same time, he's reading a memoir of the anarchists in the 1920s. So it's kind of a double story.
Well, and it's so neat the way that that it's the story. I would call them loosely linked. I mean, they sort of they have connections, but it's not it's not necessarily chronologically. It's not it's kind of different offshoots of different people. But it all sort of starts with the 1920s and the whole kind of anarchist movement there. And the one story that I really loved was the one about the guy who was busking in Paris, who who came there and and it's interesting. His mother had been an anarchist, then sort of got into some money, and then he stole some of the money and went to Paris. And so it's just really and then at the very end there's somebody comes back. So I don't want to spoil it for people, but the whole way it's put together is really nice. So I wanted to ask you just I had read somewhere about you that you weren't sure you wanted to write other novels after doing kind of these linked stories this way.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true, or tell me what you think about that?
Well, I love doing linked stories, and I feel that I've done my best work in linked stories. I've done 3 of these collections now, so I'm moving towards what I think is a loosely linked novel. It's a little bit more novel-like. It has a little bit more continuous action in it, but the different chapters are falling into separate pieces, and I'm on the 3rd piece now.
Oh, good. Well, I know you love to travel. Is this a travel-related, book you're working on, and travel to Asia in particular? So, anything Asian-related that's coming in the next book?
This book actually has something to do with Turkey, where
really?
I've been for 3 short trips, and of course, most of Turkey is Asia.
Right.
Istanbul is divided in between. So it's a little bit about that, and what I love to write about is the whole experience of being a foreigner in a strange culture, and the parts that you want to take in and the parts that remain foreign to you. So that's going on in this section also. Turkey's amazing. It's a great place.
No, it is. I enjoyed it as well. Well, Joan, thanks so much for being with you. We really appreciate you being here with us on Furious Fiction, and good luck with the next book.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for joining us on Furious Fiction again. We'll see you next time.